Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome back to the free-to-play review. So today's topic, we're going to be diving into the anniversary path. And honestly, this one is pretty straightforward, simple, and also fairly accessible to a majority of the player base. For starters, the main appeal, of course, is the Jade Serpent skin for Arbiter, if that's really what you care about. But also there's a Sacred up for grabs, Legendary Tome, a Mythical Tome, as well as a Primal Shard and a Void Shard. And it is worth noting that you do start off the path with one key, meaning that you do not have to get the key here in the center just to be able to get one of the key paths on the left hand or the right hand side. So this particular iteration of the Hero's Path is a combination of a Champion Training as well as a Soulstone Rush. And the Soulstone Rush is coinciding with the fact that we have the boosted summons here in the portal or in the altar of souls. So for immortals and mortals, you have a slightly higher chance to get, I think it's over here. You have a slightly higher chance to get 5-star and 6-star perfect souls. So hopping back to the path, I've identified a handful of pathways that most people would probably want to take. And so first of all, it would be the path to the Primal Shard. Again, noting that you start off with one key by default, so you don't have to worry about coming down the middle. And so you just hug the left side, you'd open the key node, and then you get the Primal Shard. And that only will cost you 12,500 points, relatively cheap. And this is a 4-day event, so you have plenty of time to do Champion Training entirely if you wanted to earn the Primal. Same thing on the Void, a little bit cheaper. Right-hand side, you hug the right-hand side, you come down there, one key, and then you do 5,000 points, and that would be 10,500 points to go down the right-hand side for the Void Shard. I didn't do the calculation, but you know, if you did want to get both of the shards, you'd have to come down either one of the middle paths at some point, and then pick up the key here, and then you'd be able to get the other shard. If you didn't care about either of those and you just wanted a Legendary Tome, you'd have to stay on the left hand but middle path here, coming down the center-ish and then coming down here through the Chaos Ore to there, and that would be a total of 36,000 points. Similarly, on the right hand side, if you wanted the Mythical Tome, same thing, you kind of come down the center right hand side through the Chaos Ore, 20,000 points, and that would cost you 40,500 points for the Mythical Tome. And then if you did want the Sacred Shard here in the center, you'd have to come down essentially the same thing, left hand or the right hand center path, through the greater oil or extract, through the dust or the powder, and then 25,000 for the Sacred, for a grand total of 44,500. And then if you wanted to go beyond that for the skin, you add 25,000 to that, or 69,500 points. So I think the main takeaway here is that you have plenty of options and you can pick and choose how far you would like to go. I do think that if you only want the Primal or the Void, it can be relatively cheap and entirely done over the course of 4 days with Champion Training. If you want to pursue either the Legendary Tome and beyond, the Mythical Tome, the Sacred Shard, you probably will have to invest some amount of Soul Stones to just make it not too much of a slog in terms of pure Champion Training. So as usual, let's hop over to the spreadsheet, which will be linked in the description box down below if you want to check it out for yourself. But we have here on the right hand side and identified all of the paths I mentioned in all of the totals. So the Primal Path, the Void Path, Legendary Tome, Mythical Tome, and the Sacred. And then again, you can project forward from the Sacred to the skin by adding 25,000 points. And then in terms of acquiring points here on the left-hand side, we have the Champion Training section, and we have 2 rows. Per capita just means the amount of points you would get for making each level of the chicken and or a 6-star champion. And then cumulative just means that we're accounting for the fact that you need multiple of each tier of chicken to make the next tier of chicken, including a 6-star champion. So this is just how many points you would expect to get just by doing the Champion Training aspect of it. So for example, if you wanted the Primal Shard, you'd have to crank out around 3 5-star chickens from scratch, and that would basically do it for you, which is more than doable over the course of 4 days with just the daily accrual energy. And then here on the right hand side, we'll also have the amounts if you wanted to do it entirely with Soul Stones, which I do not recommend unless you just are sitting on a bunch or you feel like buying them, because it is boosted odds on 5-star and 6-star perfect souls, which is slightly better than just previous ones where it was just a boost on 6-star perfect souls. So it is a pretty decent time to invest in some of your Soul Stones if you've been hoarding them for some time. But yeah, so you can kind of see the totals there. I would say Immortals are definitely the strongest overall. You get the most bang for your buck in terms of that, but even then it can be relatively costly. And in the Soulstone Summoning tab, I also pasted an image of the Soulstone Rush as it is in the Hero's Path to compare it with a natural Soulstone Rush. And so if we take a look at this, the first column here is the Primal Shard, which we can compare to this column here, and you can see that you'd pull less Soul Stones overall to get the same reward. Similarly, for the void shard here on the second column, you'd have to pull about the same on mortals, but less on the immortals and the eternals. But then as you start to go a little bit further towards the legendary tome here, which is the third column, then your mortals start to surpass what you would normally get in a natural soulstone rush. Same thing with the immortals, and the eternals are about the same just because they're worth so many points. So point being that it's pretty much on par with a soulstone rush if you were participating in those in the past, and so you're not going to get much worse value unless you really start to chase some of the far out rewards like the legendary tome, mythical tome, the sacred shard, and or the skin. But of course, any and all of this can be offset by champion training. So my formal recommendation, as I kind of hinted at earlier, is pick a milestone that is achievable or feels achievable for you, and then I would try to do majority of it with champion training and then fill it in with soulstones. Unless you have a stockpile of soulstone that you've been sitting on waiting for an event like this, then I would start with the soulstones and see how far you get, and then finish the rest out with champion training. Either or, depends on where you are with your resource and how you'd like to use them in the purposes of this event. For myself, I definitely prefer soulstone chases over soul rushes, just because you get rewarded for what you get out of them, not just for pulling the same type of soulstones. And so I still prefer a chase over a rush, and my particular plan in this case is to try and get the legendary tome exclusively with champion training. And if that seems a bit far-fetched, because we're not doing another Aostrid Dreamsong Soul type deal here, I don't think it's going to be that bad. But if that proves a little bit too much resources over the course of the next 4 days, then I'll probably throw in some mortals to offset it if need be. I guess at this point I'm kind of holding out and hoping that they'll have another boosted rates like these on top of a soulstone chase, which they've done only once so far, so I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. The fact that this is happening now, and we're probably like a week or maybe a week and a half away from the next soul chase, doesn't give me much hope that that's going to be the case, and I don't want to sit on my soulstones for forever. So I'll kind of have to make a judgment call about how I want to approach these in the near term. Just based on how they start to do these events. But anyways, best of luck to you guys if you are going to be pulling some soulstones. Hopefully you get some pretty decent 5-star and 6-star perfect souls. And of course, in the comment section down below, let me know what you got from your soulstones, or let me know what your target is for the hero's path. As always, if you did find this video helpful, then be sure to hit that like button down below. And if you did enjoy the video, then be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.